Hi there, my name's Lawrence Tricky, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to the upcoming session you're going to be taking part in of the Warwick Business School Marketing Strategy Simulation game, Shopper Mogul. So, Shopper Mogul is a tool that I've developed. It's based on my experiences in the last 20 years working in marketing and strategy leadership roles with a number of big international consumer goods companies, as well as working with several of the largest consulting companies in the world. Now, the idea of the simulation game that you're going to be taking part in is to give you the experience as a group of students to come together and form a management team to take over the operations of a consumer goods company and to test your marketing competitive juices by putting you in competition with other teams of students who are managing competing consumer goods businesses within the same world. So if I just switch over to the simulation game, now you can access the simulation game by going to your web browser and going to the site wbs.shoppermogul.com. The first time that you go there, you will need to log on, which you can do from the top corner, where click on the name badge, hit login, and submit the details that you've been given by the university. Your login will be your password. The login will be your university email address, and the password should have been supplied to you. So when you first come into the simulation, you're going to be faced with this screen, which is presenting the three different parts of the game that you can explore. The game world, where you can go and browse the categories that you can play in, look at the retailers, even talk to consumers. There's the section where you can go into your company's offices and actually manage your portfolio, submit your management instructions. And then there's a dedicated insights section where you can go to look at the various charts and reports available to you to inform your decision as marketeers. So the game that you've been put into is a soft drinks themed competitive world. Now what you'll see when you log in is that there are a number of different categories that you may choose to launch brands in. At the start of the game, your company will already have one brand in the game in one of these three categories. So the categories you can choose to play in are coffee, carbonated soft beverages, and water. Now, at the start of the game, it's a relatively open situation. Each team just has one brand, and you can see from this little chart on the front, more than half of the virtual consumers in this game currently aren't actually buying anything because none of the brands that are in the market are quite right for them. They don't have quite the right positioning or quite the right pack positions to be appealing to those consumers. So at the start of the game, some of you are going to find that you're fortunate to take over the position of market leaders. Some of you are not market leaders, but the truth is the initial status has so much white space in it that it's not restricting how you're going to end up performing. So each of the categories in the game you can get a little bit more information about by digging into them. Now, you'll see when you go in that each category it has a bit of information at the top telling you just some very core information about it. So coffee, we can see there is one main consumer type. Now, you'll discover more as you dig into it that the virtual consumers in the world of Shopper Mogul They're all different, but they are drawn from different segments of the consumer landscape. Now, for coffee, there's one segment called sophisticates, who over-index as consumers of coffee. If you hover over it, there's a little bit of text. So the sophisticates, they're the consumers who tend to have the highest disposable income. They are the most quality and style conscious of all of the consumers in the game. So, coffee, compared to other categories, it has a larger top end than some of the other categories. You can also see that coffee, it's got what we describe as medium price elasticity. So it kind of means what it says. It's not very elastic, it's not very inelastic. Consumers will switch brands if there is a sufficiently interesting alternative. If something else is sufficiently different in price or sufficiently different in quality and appealing to them, then they will give things a go. In comparison, let's have a look at one of the other categories. So carbonated soft drinks. Soft drinks, they have a different prime consumer type. They tend to appeal to the hipsters. Now, hipsters within this game are the very style-focused consumers, but not necessarily the ones who are really most focused on the absolute quality of the product. People who buy carbonated soft drinks, they may not spend a lot of time looking at the ingredients, but they certainly do want a brand which has an image which is fitting to them. Fizzy drinks, actually, in this game, they have a fairly low elasticity. What do we mean by that? It means that consumers of fizzy drinks, they tend to find one brand that they get particularly attached to, and they don't switch very easily. So, if you're a consumer of Coca-Cola, and you go into the shop and you see Fanta is on sale 5% cheaper, you're probably not going to switch. Consumers tend to be more fixed on which brand they will be loyal to, and they'll only switch if another brand is significantly better, significantly cheaper, or a significantly higher quality offering. So in short, it's a harder category to launch new brands into if you want to go head-to-head with a mainstream brand that's already there. By the way, for each of these categories, you can also see which brands are already in the market. So we can see for carbonated soft drinks, there are 2 brands already in the market, each of them produced by different companies. There's Pep Sprite and there's Coca Fant. Finally, we have the water category. Now, the water category is almost the opposite of the soft drinks category. It's drunk by consumers who describe themselves predominantly as the aficionados. They're much more interested in the quality of the product than they are in the badge. On the other hand, water consumers it's a much more elastic category. People who drink water are happy to switch from one brand to another if there's a different brand that looks like it may be a better fit to their needs, or which has a slightly better price discount this month. So again, what does that mean? It just means that it's easier to attack existing brands in the market in the water segment than it would be in the carbonated soft drink segment. Again, 2 brands already in the market, Poseidon and Lake Karma. So, as I say, those are the different categories that you as a consumer goods company can choose to participate in. Now, your first task as a group is actually going to be to look at the different information available to you and make your own decision on which category and what brand propositions you think you're going to need in order to build a winning portfolio. So, also, while we're here on the world page, another thing that you'll be focused on throughout the game is the stock market. Now, at the beginning of the game, we start with 5 months of data already played out, but no decisions have been made. So, unsurprisingly, all of the companies have basically a straight line performance across each of the key KPIs. So market share, revenue, profit, and market capitalization have all been flat. Now, as I say, when you first start the game, you'll realize that Cola has a leading position at the start of the game. That doesn't mean they're going to have a leading position by the end of the game. In fact, in a way, it means they're the company with the biggest target on them, because they clearly have the one single brand which is most successful at the beginning, and therefore arguably most difficult to defend through the game. So come back to the stock market as you played, see how your decisions are changing the performance of your company. But as I say, don't worry how you're performing in the first few months. Inevitably, at the start of the game, when you're first making choices, when you're first investing in new products, you will probably actually see your profit take a short-term dip before you actually achieve any change in market share. So again, there are other videos which give a more detailed description of each of the areas. If you go through the tips and tutorials bit, you'll see that for each of the different directors, CEO, marketing, pricing, sales, and finance, there is a specific tutorial explaining how that role works. So it's not my intention within this video to talk through all of those roles. What I will just say at the beginning, though, is your company does have 5 different director roles. Now, depending on how many people are in your team, you may have either one person who's wearing several hats, or you may have several people who are cooperating together in order to manage one area. Both are absolutely fine. Every member of your team can access all of the different offices, but because each area is responsible for different things, it is a very good idea at the start of the game to be clear on who's going to focus on what. And don't lose track of that, because it may seem that at certain times, brand marketing is most important, we're all focused on the marketing director's page. But trust me, if you're not also managing your pack price strategy or your sales strategy, you will suddenly find that you fall off a cliff. So you really do need all of these roles to actually be actively played. So in the initial part of the game, you are going to be mostly focused on the CEO role. So your first task within the game will actually be just to come up with what your ambition for the company is. What is your vision? At the start of the game, your company has no vision. So take the time to actually think about what it is that you want to achieve. How are you going to judge your own success at the end of the game? And then after you've been through all of the available insights and discussed with your team, what's your category strategy? Which of these different strategies that you can play in are you going to focus on? Which ones are you going to aim to grow aggressively in? Where are you aiming just to defend your position? And what categories do you want to ignore? As the old saying goes, he who stands for everything stands for nothing. So you will need to make choices on what you're going to focus on. You'll also need to, as the CEO, allocate roles to the rest of your team to determine who's responsible for different aspects of your business. So the third area, which I encourage you to look at, and again, there is a specific tutorial about it, is the insights section. So do actually go into all of the available data and look at it all, because every single one of these charts should be telling you something. Some of it may be immediately important, some of it may become more important later on in the game, but take the time to familiarize yourself with it. Obviously, the main point of the game is getting used to this idea of how we use available insights in order to make management decisions, in order to impact the world. So when you first come to this page, you will see quite likely that all of these are redded out with locked symbols. That's just because the first time that you come to here, somebody within your team needs to make the decision to actually buy access to the insights. When I say buy, I mean buy with in-game money. So your company will have to spend a few $1,000s to get access to all of the different types of information. Once you've bought it, you keep access to it for the next 12 months. And for the next 12 months, every month these charts will update. So you can keep on coming back here to see how your decisions are actually panning out. Or if you see that another company has launched a new brand, the insights section is where you can go in order to see what that brand is standing for. So there are just a couple of things that I'm going to focus on here just by way of introducing the game. We spoke earlier on about the 3 different categories and how each of them tends to over-index with certain groups of consumers. This is the one area that I'm actually going to focus on now. I think the rest of it I'm going to by and large leave you to explore by yourselves. Again, there are further tutorials about it. Now, within the game, all of the consumers, all of the virtual consumers, of which there are a few thousand in your game, all of them make their purchase decisions based on a number of 1 to 10 factors. So each of them will have an index for how much they care about the quality of the product. 0 being, I really don't care at all. 10 being, I'll only buy it if it's the absolute best product that there could possibly be. They also will buy products based on how stylish they are. And this is slightly different to quality because being on the low side, it does mean that you're a less flashy brand, but not necessarily that you're a worse brand. Rather, we say that the brands which are not particularly flashy are what we call conformational brands. The ones that, I don't necessarily use because I'm showing off, but possibly ones that I use because, this is the brand for people like me. Maybe this is a brand from the area that I come from, for a simple, honest person. So, you tend to get consumer goods brands that are either conformational or aspirational. And you'll see that there are consumers, there is demand on both sides of the style bucket. Specifically, there are 4 different classes of segments of consumers. So we have the survivors, who are the people down here in the bottom left corner, the ones that have fairly low quality expectations, and they tend to buy conformational brands. They're not looking to show off, and they're not looking to spend a lot of money on the best quality product there could be. Over on the right, we have the hipsters. These are the ones who actually do care about their brand being cool, but they're honestly actually not that focused on the ingredients of the product. They're not really thinking about the quality of how it's made. They're buying much more based on the image of the product. Up in the top left, we have our aficionados. These are the consumers who are very much making their decisions based on quality and really don't care at all about the label, the flashiness of the product. And over on the top right, we have the sophisticates. These are the people who have highest disposable income and who care both about having products which are high quality, organic, but also products that have the right label on them, that have a story to them that they can buy into or show off with. What you'll see very little of is demand right in the middle of the chart. So if you go to the 5-5, there is almost no demand there at all. As the saying goes, there's only one thing you find in the middle of the road, and that's dead animals. So when you're thinking about how to position your brands, think about which group of consumers you're targeting, and make strong decisions. If you're going to be on the right, be right on the right. If you're be top, bottom, left, right, don't go for middle of the road brands. Over on the right, you can actually see the starting positions of all of the brands in the market. So Cocofant, the largest single brand, it's a high quality carbonated soft drink with a sort of middling, neither conformational nor aspirational positioning. Its main competitor, Pep Sprite, is actually a lower quality product, but a much more aspirational brand. And the two of them, are the two largest brands by volume. In other categories, in fact, you can zoom in on different categories. So if you only want to see water, you can click on there and we can see, Poseidon and Lake Karma, the two starting water brands. And similarly for coffee, we have a very, very stylish, aspirational brand called Costalot, and a high quality but much less flashy brand, Kiti Luwak. So you will get the chance both to manage the brand that you're starting with and to choose to launch new brands. You can choose either to stay within the category that you're starting with or to launch brands in different categories. And it's not just about what brands you choose to launch. You also need to launch. You need to make sure you've got packs which are the right size and the right price to work for consumers in different shopping situations. You need to purchase your media spends, make sure that you're building up awareness of your brands by spending money in the right place. And you'll need to spend money on retailers to get your products distributed, available in the right retailers. As the game goes on, different parts of this will become more or less in focus. At the start of the game, with a very empty market, you probably are going to be very focused on thinking about your portfolio. But as the game moves on, it's going to become more and more important to get cute with having the right packs, and it's really important having the right trading terms with your retailers. So don't get completely myopic on just building the brand portfolio. You need to manage all of the different aspects of the competitive levers available to you. Okay, so with that, I think that's probably enough of a generic introduction, that you have an enjoyable and a educational experience. So good luck, and I look forward to seeing how you do. Thank you.